Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for June 23rd, 2024. Going to be talking about some random stuff tonight. The top 25 quarterback list that was posted on Twitter, and I retweeted it and reposted and just commented on it. A little weird, so I thought I'd touch on that. Plus PGA Day 4, talk about what we're going to do heading into that. And basically ask me anything as well. As you can see, I'm on by myself tonight. No Tom. Tom called out sick, unfortunately, so hope he feels better and is able to join us next week. But so before we get to everything, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As you can see on the screen, we have a bunch of shirts. I talked about these earlier in the week, but now that I'm by myself, I can probably get into them so I don't get any of my co-hosts canceled. I can't get canceled personally, but I always worry about my co-hosts getting in trouble because they are employed by someone. I'm the only one who works for myself here, but so yeah, we have shirts for all 6 deadly sins. The other 6 deadly sins, I should say. September is Lust Month, as you can see here. We have Joe Biden with an Ashley Showers and a playground with some kids there. I was trying so hard to have Joe Biden like leering at a shower with like a silhouette with someone in there. And like ChatGPT would just not let me do it. It will not have it. So this is like the closest thing I can do. I was even trying, like ChatGPT even recommended like, how about a hose spraying someone outside, a girl outside, and Joe Biden looking at it. Not Joe Biden. I had to call someone else. And then it tried to make it, and then it was like, wait, we violated our own content policy. I'm like, that's so weird. So yeah, this September is the Lust Month. September because I think because I was recommended to me, like, first of all, the most babies are born in September. But second, you have college kids going back to school in September. So I thought that made the most sense. November is Sloth Month. We've been doing this one for a while. It's because Thanksgiving and football, you're just like vegging around, like not really doing anything. Let's see what else we have here. We have August is Gluttony Month. I showed this one already. This is just me eating lots of food and doing fantasy drafts. March is Greed Month. Actually, my first version of this got deleted because I had the whole NVIDIA name there. I had to change it to NVDA, which is the stock. So this is Nancy Pelosi making lots of money on NVIDIA and eating ice cream, which she's famous for that. She opened remember during COVID, she opened her fridge and like she had or freezer. She had she had so much ice cream there. So that was that. May is Wrath Month, which is so this one's funny. This is the start of the Summer of Love riots. It was Memorial Day. So I asked ChatGPT to make a flag with burning buildings and people stealing TVs. And ChatGPT was like, I can't depict anyone committing a crime. So I'm like, okay, make me a flag with burning buildings and people carrying TVs out of stores that they paid for. And this is what they gave me. A couple people have 2 TVs there that they paid for. It's strange. So there's that. And the last one is January is Envy Month. So this is supposed to be Hillary Clinton being envious of Donald Trump. Doesn't quite look like Trump, but it would not make me anything that resembled Trump. I just went back and forth to ChatGPT for like 2 hours. It was so frustrating. But this is the best they came up with. Maybe I can show you guys the history of that sometime. But yeah, those are all the T-shirts at the merch store. And as I always say, like these are kind of cheap. They're like $19 here with the discount. And the discount's like free. I mean, you don't have to even enter the code. I think it just gives you it automatically. Like this day and age, like $19 for like a high quality T-shirt, I think is a pretty good price. So even if you don't want to support the site, like if you just need a shirt, just get it. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. If you want some clothes. And it really helps the show as well. Something else that helps the show is super chats, super stickers. We've had three days in a row from John Sanders contributing. Thanks so much, John. And we had Slew last week. We had Germ, Degeneron, Kevin Kovac. You guys have been so helpful with your contributions. And I always say that YouTube ads they provide almost nothing for us. It's like kind of pathetic. So like anything you guys want to contribute to help keep the show going would be really appreciated. Or you can buy my book on Amazon. It is called Jerks of the College Years. If I can find it, there it is, the Amazon logo here amid my million tabs. So I had a bunch of weirdos in college that I ran into. So this is basically Jerks of the Week for college. I spent 6 years at Penn State, so I have 6 years worth of stories. Actually, like I had a lot of stories that didn't even make the cut. Like I've been posting them in Jerks of the Week, like the ones that didn't make the cut. But these were the best ones, I think. And everyone who's read it has told me it's good. Not that like someone read it and thought it sucked. They probably wouldn't tell me. But unprompted, people are like, oh, this is pretty funny. So if you're looking for a funny book to read over the summer, definitely recommend this. And this is another way to help the show as well. Okay, we have a couple comments here before we get started. Tony asking, is Walt enjoying The Acolyte? So I've sworn off Star Wars ever since episode 8. It was episode 8. So I saw episode 7 in the theater with my friend, my wife, and my friend and his girlfriend at the time, now wife. So yeah, we saw episode 7 in the theater, and we're like, okay, it's not bad. It's not good. They kind of ripped off episode 4, but I don't know. Like, and then I watched it the second time. And I'm like, this is dumber than I thought. I guess I was just caught up in the moment, just watching it on the big screen, just like enjoying the action. I mean, the action was good. It wasn't like a horrible movie, but like there were some horrible aspects to it. Like Rey, the girl, just. Here's the thing. So like Luke Skywalker, he fights Darth Vader in episode 5. This is after he gets training from Yoda. And you could always tell how seriously Darth Vader would take a fight. Because like if he would fight one-handed, he would just like he didn't take his opponent seriously at all. If he fought two-handed, like he meant business. And like he fought Luke Skywalker with one hand for most of the fight. Just because, like, he didn't even want to kill Luke Skywalker. He wanted him to join him, his father and son, to rule the galaxy. Like, he wasn't even fighting Luke Skywalker very seriously. And Luke was, like, losing the fight, like, big time, despite having training from Yoda. And then Luke had to complete his training with Yoda in episode 6 to finally beat Darth Vader. You contrast that with Rey, who had never seen a lightsaber before. The first time she picks up a lightsaber, she runs into the grandson of Darth Vader, who had training from Luke Skywalker, and she beats him in the first fight. Like, no experience with the lightsaber, no training from anyone, just beats him. Like that is so stupid. And like just watching that the second time, I'm like, I can't. I can't go along with this. And then in episode 8, we saw that in the theater as well. And I was like, this is horrible. You had the what would they call her? The woman who was like super bossy and like I can't remember her name. And then like what they did with Leia is just so stupid, the whole movie. And I'm like, I can't watch this again. I didn't even watch episode 9, and I've sworn off Star Wars completely. So I haven't watched any of the series on Disney Plus. Like I haven't watched The Mandalorian, which some people said was good until they fired Gina Carano. So I haven't watched any of that stuff. So I have not watched The Acolyte. I don't plan on watching it. Although people have said that episode 3 and The Acolyte is so bad that I kind of want to watch it just to see how bad it is. And maybe I can write a Jerks of the Week entry on it. So maybe I'll do that, but I'm not going to watch the rest of it just because like Disney buying Star Wars just completely ruined the franchise. I remember having mixed feelings about that when Disney when Disney bought Star Wars, because it's like on one hand, we're going to get more Star Wars. And I love the original 3. And then the prequels were, episode 2 was kind of brutal, but episode 3 I thought was like pretty entertaining. Episode 1 was like hit or miss. Like Jar Jar Binks was awful, but it had some good stuff in it too. So like the prequels weren't nearly as good as the original 3, but they were entertaining except for episode 2, when like it's just Anakin and Padme just like talking like back and forth, and it's just so boring. But outside of that, the original three were okay. So when Disney bought Star Wars, I was like, okay, we're cool. We're gonna get a lot more Star Wars movies. This will be awesome. And then episode 7 and 8 happened. I'm like, oh, like these aren't really Star Wars movies. They're just woke nonsense called Star Wars. So yeah. So I remember having mixed feelings because I remember thinking like, yeah, we'll have more Star Wars, but it could be bad. And I was right, unfortunately, about both things, I guess. So he says, I closed at my GME for a tiny gain at 25.77 on Thursday. Done with it. Oh, interesting. I would just keep selling cover calls on it. That's what I'm doing all the time. I just, this company has $4 billion, actually $4.7 billion in cash and no debt. And, I think with Ryan Cohen at the helm, like they're going to do great things. So, it might go down a little bit in the short term, but I think long term it's going to go up pretty high. And it is a great stock to sell cover calls on because so many people buy calls on GameStop thinking that it could skyrocket because of a squeeze, and that is true. Like it could skyrocket at any moment. But I think that like I said, I think it could go down a little bit, and if you want to get back in, that'd be cool. But I'm sticking with it for the long term, just selling cover calls every week, just making a profit every week. It's pretty nice. Of course, I want the stock price to go up, so the calls I sell increase in value. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, well, as long as you profited, that's cool. So asking, is Quacky preparing for the Panthers' wake funeral? Looks like they have one skate in the bucket. Well, yeah, I mean, just pouring one out for Quacky's bet. He bet the Panthers at -1.5 for the series, and it looked like a great bet. He was up 3-0, obviously. And then I saw Edmonton came back. I actually forgot about the series, and I saw a highlight come up on Twitter, and I was like, it was like Edmonton taking a 3-0 lead in Game 6. I'm like, my first thought was like, wait, the series still going? And the second was like, oh crap, Quacky is in danger here of losing his bet. So unfortunately that happened. So yeah, hopefully he gets a win with the Panthers outright, but I know that he lost the -1.5, which is unfortunate. So he says I was okay with Ray, first movie, other two are trash. See, I just didn't like her beating I can't even remember the guy's name now. It's just so out of the last three movies. Vader's grandson, whatever his name is. I like personality wise, she was okay. Like she was fine in that movie, but like her beating that guy, and is it Ren or something like that? Her beating that guy in a lightsaber fight the first time she wields a lightsaber is just ridiculous. I just couldn't get over it, and I think I missed it the first time just because like I said, I was caught up in all the action, just being in the theater. But watching it the second time, because I watched it before going to see episode 8, and watching it the second time, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why is she beating this guy who's had training for Luke Skywalker? It's just awful. So, all right, let's get into this quarterbacks list. I thought it'd be interesting to look at it. Now I can't speak to some of the quarterbacks I haven't seen, although I will talk about them a little bit. But I'll read them if you guys are just listening. So going 25-1, you have 25 Dan Fouts, 24 Boomer Esiason, 23 Phillip Rivers, 22 Matthew Stafford, 21 Jim Kelly, 20 Terry Bradshaw, 19 Ken Stabler, 18 Troy Aikman, 17 Warren Moon, 16 Bart Starr, 15 Roger Staubach, 14 Fran Tarkenton, 13 Johnny Unitas, 12 Kurt Warner, 11 Ben Roethlisberger, 10 John Elway, 9 Steve Young, 8 Drew Brees, 7 Brett Favre, 6 Dan Marino, 5 Aaron Rodgers, 4 Patrick Mahomes, 3 Joe Montana, 2 Peyton Manning, and number 1 Tom Brady. So the first thing that stood out to me is like, I don't know how you put Peyton Manning at number 2, just given his failures in the playoffs. It was so many occasions where he just came up short in the playoffs. Even the first Super Bowl that he won, he beat the Bears, and I remember getting to the Super Bowl, he faced he had a lot of great variance on his side, and I didn't think he had some great performances. And then, like I said, he beat the Bears, who had Rex Grossman at quarterback, so it's not like he had a great matchup, quarterback wise. Obviously, the Bears had a great defense, but beating Rex Grossman in the Super Bowl, does that even count? Also, Peyton Manning, as Slew pointed this out on Twitter, and this is kind of twofold. One, Peyton Manning was he was the catalyst for the no contact rules, because I think it was 03, might have been 03 or 04, one of those playoff losses he had to the Patriots. They lost back-to-back years. He was complaining about he complained to the officials and then the league that his receivers are getting roughed up too much by the Patriot cornerbacks. And so the league actually changed the rules. It's known as like the Peyton Manning rule, where they implemented no contact penalties. And ever since then, it's turned into just a passing league. Like, the NFL used to be so run heavy. I remember just watching highlights of NFL primetime on YouTube, just because I used to love that show. But like, if you watch old NFL primetime videos, like Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, they're always like in the 90s and early 2000s, they're stressing so much like, oh, this team doesn't have a running game. They have no chance to compete. And so it's like, who cares? You don't need a running game. Maybe to hold the lead, but to get a lead, like, you don't really need that. So it's a different animal now. The league is like offensive wise. And so Peyton Manning was the catalyst for that. And you could argue, like, yeah, he's super important for that reason, but the same time, like, he needed the rule changes in the playoffs to win in the playoffs. So I think you have to give him a strike for that. The second thing that I said, it was twofold what Stu pointed out, and he made this point. It's a great point that he made on Twitter, that a lot of these quarterbacks, you have, like, starting with Joe Montana at 3, Dan Marino, Steve Young, John Elway, Johnny Unitas, obviously, Frank Tarkenton, so on and so forth. Like, all these guys didn't benefit from these rules. And like, imagine Joe Montana and Johnny Unitas playing in the NFL with these no contact rules. Like, it would be like, they would play so much better. Like, their stats would be so enhanced. Even like John Elway, I remember him like being a great fantasy quarterback and everything. But if you look at his stats, like, his passing stats are like not that impressive. But if you were to play now, like, he would get 5,000 passing yards. Just and so, like, I just wonder, like, you put John Elway at 10. He won 2 Super Bowls. He got to the Super Bowl previously. I just don't know how you put him behind some of these quarterbacks. Like, I'm not even talking about like Steve Young, but Drew Brees, for example. Like, Brees' stats are so much better than Elway's. Just look at them side by side. But if you put Elway in today's NFL and Brees into the 80s, 90s NFL, I think Elway's stats will be much better than that. So I think Elway is just way too low. And I think a lot of these older quarterbacks are as well. Like Johnny Unitas, number 13. I think that's just way too low. And I'm too young. I wasn't able to watch Unitas live or anything like that. So I can't like fully speak to this being true, but I do know for a fact that like it was a different era. And like if Johnny Unitas were in the league right now, his numbers would be so much better than that. So those are my 2 takeaways from that. If you guys, I wonder if you guys have any reactions to this. Also, one other thing I saw in the comments, a lot of people were complaining, well, maybe not a lot, but like some people were complaining that Eli Manning was not on the list, and also Philip Rivers was ahead of Eli Manning. And their argument is, oh, Eli has won 2 Super Bowls. And I always like make this point because you can compare Rivers and Manning so easily because they're in the same draft. I mean, they were traded for each other basically. Like if you put Rivers on the Giants, if just say the Giants draft Philip Rivers and the Chargers draft Eli Manning that year, like Eli Manning doesn't have 2 Super Bowl wins. Like I don't think he even gets the Super Bowl. Rivers didn't. And then Rivers on the Giants, he definitely wins 2 Super Bowls, I think, and he might even win a third. Like the Giants had some great years, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. And they just kind of flopped in the playoffs. And Rivers being more talented than Eli Manning, I think that Rivers has a chance to at least win 3. I'm not saying he does, but I think there's definitely a better chance than Eli Manning that he wins 3. So I definitely think Rivers should be in over Eli, and I would not put Eli Manning in the top 25. He's had some amazing moments for sure, like no doubt, the helmet catch and stuff like that, and beating Tom Brady twice in Super Bowl is like no easy feat. But then again, you have to look at the defense. Like it was all that defensive line both times, just carry them, and they had a great offensive line too. So like Eli Manning it felt like he was kind of along for the ride there. Yes, he made some clutch plays. But just I mean, all 25 quarterbacks on this list could have won the Super Bowl in that circumstance. So I definitely don't think Eli Manning should be in the top 25. All right, we have some comments here. So Tony says Kurt Warner too high. Maybe a little bit. He's one of the quarterbacks who benefited from the no contact rules, at least in Arizona, not early on with the Rams. I mean, he was awesome with the Rams. You got to remember too that Kurt Warner came into the NFL like for real the second time as a 29-year-old. Like he was basically a 29-year-old rookie because he hadn't really played beforehand. And so he just didn't have his 20s in the NFL. So if you give him those 6 or 7 years, like his numbers would look a lot different too. And maybe he wins once more or something like that. And then you have to consider him as just being, just being better. So I could see the case that Warner's too high, but I could also argue that he might be a little too low because of that, because he just never played in his 20s. And so he lost his job to Mark Bulger. Yeah, but Warner got hurt. Like Warner was dealing with a lot of injuries that year that he lost to Mark Bulger. And Mark Bulger had some great years too. It's not like he lost his job to a bum. Bulger was a starter for a long time. He was a good player for a long time. So this is not like Colin Kaepernick losing his job to Blaine Gabbert or anything. Mark Bulger made the Pro Bowl, so I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. And then Kurt Warner had a second career in Arizona. He got to the Super Bowl, almost won. If it wasn't for a great play the Steelers made, like they win the Super Bowl. Actually, did two great plays: the touchdown catch, and then the Joey Porter, was it Joey Porter, whoever it was, the Steeler guy who the defender who scored a touchdown right before halftime. So like there are two great plays the Steelers made in that game. If they don't make both of them, I think Arizona wins, and so that would be another that would be a second Super Bowl win for Warner. So. I don't know. Like I said, I could see the argument, but I think he could arguably be even higher. Patrick says, well, have you seen any episodes of the new of The Boys and HOTD, House of the Dragon? Boys has been pretty disappointing so far, but Vibe reminds me of second half of season 6 of Sopranos and being very depressing. I have not seen The Boys. I've heard bad things about it. But I mean, it's not surprising to me that you say it's disappointing. I do plan on watching it just to see if people are right that it's disappointing. But yeah, I've heard bad things about it, and I've heard that they've gotten pretty woke. The first season of The Boys was amazing, and then it's gotten progressively worse. I think at times last year it was kind of silly, but it was still entertaining. So. Hopefully it's still somewhat entertaining. I don't know. Like, you can tell me, like, why do you think it's disappointing? I'm kind of curious to hear that. House of the Dragon, actually just watched the first episode today. I thought it was pretty decent. Like the last 10 minutes where you're following the rat catchers throughout the keep, like that was pretty intense. That was really cool. Just because someone was going to die. You just didn't know who. That was really cool at the end. I thought the episode as a whole was kind of slow, but you kind of would expect that. That's actually how episode 1 of season 1 was for House of the Dragon. Actually didn't like that. And then after episode 1 of season 1, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to watch this because this is back, right. This is like fresh off of Game of Thrones being horrible in season 7 and 8. And I was like, man, is this going to be bad? I don't know. But then it got a lot better. Like the only thing I didn't like about House of the Dragon, except for the first episode last year, was that they changed the actresses. Like I don't like the main girl actress. Like I like the first one a lot better than the second one, and then the redheaded one. I think I'm okay with both, but I don't know why they needed to change them. It's kind of weird that they changed like the 2 female actresses, the 2 female leads, but like they didn't change anyone else. It's like, yeah, I get that time is advancing and everything like that, like pretty rapidly because they're going through like the entire history of the house, but like why change only them and not everyone else? Just very strange. Like I know, like my wife watched The Crown that goes through like the history of the British monarchy, and like every season they change actors because like they're advancing like 20 years or something like that, and that makes sense. Like if you're going to change actors, you can change everyone. I'm not that I'd like that, but like just be consistent. Like I just don't know why you're changing two actresses and no one else. I thought it was weird, but yeah, I mean, let me know why you think the Boys season 4 was disappointing so far, and how many episodes have you watched too? I just kind of curious about that. Sloppy Steak says Matthew Stafford's not a top 25 quarterback of all time. I don't know. I could go like back and forth. Like, who would you have over this? Like I assume you would have Rivers, Esiason, and Fouts over it. Like, who else would you put there? I think like talent, like physically talent wise, like I think you could definitely make the case for him there. And also remember, I mean, he was stuck in Detroit for a long time. This is before Detroit had a competent front office. Like they had some horrible management in Detroit for a long time, and Stafford just like keeping the lines relevant for most years, I thought was pretty impressive. Like he got into the playoffs, like it's pretty uncommon for the Lions back then. Like now they're like a powerhouse, but back then, it was Stafford just carrying the team a lot, and he would get injured quite often. He had Calvin Johnson, but even when he didn't have Calvin Johnson, like he kept the Lions relevant. Which like before Stafford just wasn't the case at all. Like the decade, before 09, the aughts, like before Stafford got there, the Lions were a joke. Like they were the Matt Millen run Lions who just would always finish last. Like they were the laughing stock of the league, and he made them relevant and kind of a respected team at times. So, which I think there's a lot to say about that. Like just a joke of a franchise like becoming relevant with a quarterback. I think that's pretty important. John says put $5 in the Oilers down 3-0 because of the randomness of hockey. 13-1 odds, so could win $65. That's pretty awesome. So good luck, John. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm surprised it was only 13-1 odds too. I don't know. I guess that makes sense, but I would have thought that'd be higher. Like if you told me what they would be at down 3-0, I think it'd be like 20-1. But I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. Where's Jay Cutler? Top 25 cigarette smoking quarterbacks of all time, maybe. Tony says Eli's not good. Yeah, I mean he was decent at times. Like again, he had some great moments. I don't think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I would like if I were a voter for the Hall of Fame, I would not ever vote for him to be in the Hall of Fame. I do think he's going to make it though, just because of his last name. His last name was like Jones. If this guy's name was Eli Jones, he'd never make the Hall of Fame. But he has the name. Peyton Manning's going to push for it. You know how it goes. So I don't think he's going to be first ballot. I guess like I wouldn't be surprised if he's first ballot, but like I don't think he will be, or like obviously don't think he should be. But like in the back of my mind, there's like a sliver of chance that he's like a first ballot Hall of Famer just because of his name in the two Super Bowls, which I think would be just a travesty if that would happen. It kind of make me like lose respect for the Hall of Fame. John says Jim Kelly's too high. The drop off to Frank Reich was minimal. Josh Allen's a way better quarterback. I think Josh Allen's more physically talented for sure. And obviously, like we don't know what Josh Allen's career trajectory is going to be. I think by the time Allen's career is over, I think you could probably argue that he would be in ahead of Kelly at this point. But Josh Allen's career is like not even half over. So it's provided there's no injury. So like, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I could see Josh Allen being on this list, in a few years. Patrick says, as a Giants fan, Eli doesn't deserve a spot. He really benefited from the Giants defense and Hakeem Nick's playoff run during second Super Bowl. Plus his record was exactly 500. Yeah. I mean, he was the epitome of mediocre, I thought, for the most part, except for those clutch moments in the playoffs. If you just take those clutch moments away, like he was exactly mediocre. Now I know it's super easy to say, oh, just take away the best moments of some guy's career. Like you can, if you take away the best moments of everyone's career on this list, like they're obviously going to be worse. But like, yeah, Eli Manning just didn't stand out for most years. He was just average. And again, like the Giants had some great teams. I think like 2012 or can't remember off the top of my head, but like 2008 or something, I think. Like there were years where they finished like 12-4, and then they didn't do anything in the playoffs just because like Eli Manning wasn't very good in those playoffs. So I think if they had a better quarterback, like if they had Philip Rivers, maybe they get to the Super Bowl one of those years too, and maybe they win it. So if they had a better quarterback, they would have had much better success. But hey, I mean, I think it takes like a first order thinker to just be like, oh, Eli Manning, definitely a top 25 quarterback. He has 2 Super Bowls, of course. Like, well, I don't know. There have been some quarterbacks who've had Super Bowl wins who aren't that great. Like Nick Foles, is Kenny might disagree here. And Kenny, if you're listening, chime in. I mean, Nick Foles is definitely not anywhere close to this list. But he won a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Like there's just so many mediocre quarterbacks who won Super Bowls. Trent Dilfer, obviously, like he wasn't even mediocre. They ran him out of town after he won the Super Bowl. So it doesn't mean anything. And like, just say like if the Ravens maintain that great defense and they kept Trent Dilfer on, like they were dumb and they spent money on Elvis Grbac. Like pretend they didn't spend money on Grbac and just kept Dilfer and they spent that money just maintaining their defense. If they had won two Super Bowls, would people be like, oh, Trent Dilfer is a top 25 quarterback? He won 2 Super Bowls. Like, no, that's stupid. One name I want to mention on this list. I never saw this guy play in live action because I wasn't born then. Terry Bradshaw at 20, like he has 4 Super Bowls. But from my understanding and like just from seeing the stats and the highlights and stuff like that, like Terry Bradshaw was not the catalyst for those Super Bowl wins. Like, it was the steel curtain. Like he had a great supporting cast around him, and he's kind of like the game manager from what I understand. Now, again, like I didn't see this guy play. So it's just, forgive me if I'm wrong, but like Terry Bradshaw strikes me as a guy who probably not a top 25 talent, despite his 4 Super Bowl wins. So I question if he deserves to be on this list. Like if you replace him with like Trent Dilfer, like, okay, maybe they don't win 4. Do they win 2 or 3? Like, I don't know. Again, like I don't know how great he was. I can only look at numbers, which, compared to now, they're kind of skewed. And and highlights and everything like that. So I don't know for sure, but like I feel like Super Bowl wins are like that's the most overrated stat because the team wins. Quarterback can carry a team sometimes, but it takes 53 guys to win a Super Bowl. So I don't know. I question Bradshaw being on that list too. Big Ben is better than Eli, yeah, for sure. And Ben's on the list at 11. Which, I don't know if he should be that high, but he should be in the top 25 for sure. I just don't know if he should be 11 because, again, he benefited his entire career from those Peyton Manning rules. Just like because he came into the league in 2004. So like I think that was the first year they implemented the rules. So he played his entire career under those rules. So like had he played before in the 80s and 90s, his stats wouldn't be as good. But then again, he won 2 Super Bowls. So you kind of have to factor that in. And, he was in the first Super Bowl, he wasn't that good. Second Super Bowl, he was pretty good. So like he performed better than Eli in the playoffs and stuff like that. He was superior, just not in the playoffs, but also the regular season and stuff like that. John says Kurt Warner is bagging groceries and never gave up his dream. Show some respect. Yeah, for sure. That's I've never seen the movie. I know the movie's out there about Kurt Warner. I forget what the name is. And I always wanted to see it. I just never saw it. And like, I asked being married, you kind of have to like the same movies and like want to see the same movies. So I remember this is back when we went to the movies. Like my son was born. And then my daughter, and like now we haven't been to the movies in forever. But this is like, I think, I don't know if my son was born then, but I remember asking my wife, I'm like, hey, do you want to go see that Kurt Warner movie? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, I guess we're not going to see it. I was counting on watching it on stream, but I just forgot about it. And I don't know. I'll get to it eventually. But it was such a great story that like, he overcame all that stuff. Like he could have easily just packed it in and just been a grocer his entire life. Like Shout out to Alan Matthews from Boy Meets World. But just it's awesome that he stuck with his dream, and he went to 3 Super Bowls and won one. It's just amazing, and then Hall of Famer, obviously. Sue says, Sanders, are you going to hedge your Oilers bet, or only if there was a 0 or after the 65? I mean, if you're only talking about $65, like, I feel like you just let it ride and just look. It's a cool story. But yeah, if it was to win 650, I think that you should hedge it. But I don't know. Kind of curious to see what you're gonna do. Patrick says, Boys season 4 so far has had too many plot holes. Definitely no subtlety with its politics, where early seasons were smarter with it. Homelander's arc is usually the best part of the season. Homelander is such a cool character. Just like the coolest bad guy. But I've seen so many people post on Twitter be like, they're like, MAGA didn't realize that Homelander was the bad guy this entire time. I'm like, are you dumb? Like, of course, like, everyone knew Homelander was the bad guy the entire time. Like, who watching The Boys is like, oh, Homelander's a good guy. It's like I don't know what these people are thinking. But I did notice at the end of season 3, when they had that scene, and it was like a rally or something like that, and like they made Homelander out to be Donald Trump. I even brought it up to Omniferal. We had him on as a guest a few weeks ago. And I brought that up, and he said he didn't notice it, which I was kind of surprised, because he's like super in tune with politics and stuff like that. I'll have to see. We'll have to have him on. Maybe this upcoming week. I'll ask him, because I want to break down as well about Boys season 4. Maybe I'll watch some episodes too. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see if his opinion has changed on that, because I've seen that come up a lot on Twitter, and then now you posting it as well, Patrick. It just I think that there's definitely something to that. So it kind of sucks that the show's gotten worse. That tends to happen with like almost every show. Like what shows like last 4 seasons plus and get better. Like it happens sometimes for sure, but it's pretty rare that a show just that gets better. Like usually it just gets worse, because the writers they run out of stuff or run out of material. John says, love House of the Dragons. Why couldn't those writers do the last season of Game of Thrones? Yeah, I mean, well, they had Bainoff and Weiss do it, and so they were so eager to do Star Wars, and in a show of justice, they got fired from Star Wars, which is awesome. But it's a shame. I don't know if you saw this, but I saw a news story saying that there's something called Fable, which allows you to it's like an AI thing that allows people to make their own shows. And I quote tweeted it, and I said, "Oh, maybe we'll finally get a good ending to Game of Thrones." Which I don't know if that's going to like violate the copyright thing. I probably will, but I feel like you could take like an average fan, I mean, not an average fan, but like you take like an average avid fan of like Game of Thrones. So, like someone who's read the books and watches the show, but like they don't have to know like every detail about every house or every quote in the books or whatever. Like just like a guy, just like someone who's read the books and watched every episode, maybe twice. Someone like that. Like I feel like any one of those people could have come up with a better ending than Bainoff and Weiss, and it's a real shame that they just ended it that way. But yeah, but the one thing to remember about House of the Dragon is that I don't know if you saw this in the credits of the season 2 episode 1, but George R. R. Martin is listed as the executive producer of the show, whereas like in Game of Thrones they gave him the boot. I don't know, like he wanted. George R. R. Martin in an interview, he said he wanted 13 seasons of Game of Thrones. He said that was like the adequate number of seasons for the show to end, and they gave it 8, and they shortened season 7, 8, 8. So there was a lot more material to go off of, like a lot better material, but they didn't go with George R. R. Martin anymore. Like they gave him the boot, and so they kind of like rectified that error with House of the Dragon, just making him an executive producer, which I guess like it also probably means that we're not getting book 6 anytime soon, which is a shame. But I really think that George R. R. Martin's stuck. I don't know how. I think he knows how to end it. I just don't know how he, like, I feel like he doesn't know how to get there via some of the characters, because like I think he's just made too many threads with this book. Like there's just so many characters, there's so many plot lines. Like, and you have to close all of them. Like I don't think he knows how to close all these plot lines. Like that. So I think he's just stuck. And it's like I've heard people say he's lazy. He's definitely not lazy. Like he's writing other books. He's making the show. Like he was on Game of Thrones. Now he's the executive producer of this. Like it's not like he's like on a beach somewhere, just drinking a beverage of his choice and just like and tanning. Like that's not what he's doing. Like he's actually working. I just don't think he knows how to get to the ending, which is a shame. John says hockey's random, so you'll never get great odds. That's definitely true. John says if Aaron Rodgers wins another Super Bowl, he should move up to number 2. Yeah, I mean if he does it with the Jets, yeah, for sure. I think that you can make the case for that. I never hedged. Nice. Tony says Russell Wilson better than Eli. Yeah, not Russell Wilson of 2022 and 2023, but yeah, previous Russell Wilson. I agree with that. Sue says, what about the guy with the 1K 3-leg parlay, Chiefs and I think it's Real Madrid winners plus Oilers at 584 to 1 odds, gets 584,000 if Oilers win Game 7. If that was you, John, certainly you would hedge. I would hope so. If you're talking about $65, you don't hedge. If you're talking about 584 grand, now maybe this guy's a multimillionaire, just maybe doesn't care, or like even a multimillionaire, you probably care. If he has like 9 figures worth of money, he probably doesn't care, right? But if this guy's just a regular guy like us, like I would imagine he'd have to hedge. Like, how do you not hedge in that situation? I'd have like a heart attack. John says Eli did a great job of holding Brady Moss Walker to 14. Yeah, that his presence on the defensive line just awesome. Eli Manning was terrific, like generating so much pressure. You're right. Chris says, what if he converted to Homolander and became fixated with sodomizing Butcher? Nice. To celebrate Pride Month. Yeah, as long as they also celebrate Envy Month and Sloth Month and all the others, you have to celebrate those two nowadays. John says, to be fair to D&D, if George R. R. Martin was in charge, we wouldn't even have a first season of Game of Thrones yet. He was unwilling to do it unless they said like they had to have known who Jon Snow's mother was. That whole story, and they did predict it, but then again, like that theory was out there. Was it like the letters, whatever it was R plus L equals J or whatever it was. So a lot of people had speculated that too. So I don't think it was like super impressive that they came up with the answer. But then again, like people didn't know for sure. There were a lot of theories out there, and a lot of them were wrong. So that's true. At least they got that. Let's see here. No, never hedged. So you wouldn't hedge the 548 grand. That's pretty ballsy. Sue says Sanders, nerves of steel. Yeah, for sure. That would be impressive, man. Not to hedge that. I don't know. I definitely like hedge at least a little bit. Like try to win 100K the other way or something. Or it's hockey, so you can't middle. When I bet the Eagles to win the Super Bowl at 40 to 1, I try to middle with the Chiefs. I bet the alt line. So I got like Chiefs plus, I want to say like plus 3.5 or something. So if the Eagles won by 1, 2, or 3, I would have hit both. So I don't know. Do you middle, John? Like I know you don't hedge, but do you middle? I feel like winning both that way is pretty sweet. So I think that like maybe that's acceptable. But yeah, like I said, you can't really do that in hockey. So I guess you could bet. Actually, you could bet the puck line at plus 1.5. You could do that. I don't know what the lines are. Let's look at the line for Game 7. Okay, so yeah, Edmonton is minus 102. So yeah, I mean, if you were to hedge, then minus 118 on Florida is the way to go, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the what the puck line would be for +1.5 for Florida. I don't know if they allow that. Let's see. I don't know because they're the favorite. Alternate puck line. Here we go. I think I just saw it somewhere. Here we go. Show more. Florida Panthers +1.5 is -340. I mean that's a big number, obviously, but you could hit both. Yeah, if I don't know, I feel like it's something to look at, I guess, but again, -340 is kind of ugly. John, $5. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate it. $5. I don't middle either. Okay, I think that's interesting. Like I always like trying the middle, you know. I think like the possible outcome of winning both is really appealing to me. I get not hedging, but I think middling is pretty cool. So, but anyway, thank you so much, John. Just really appreciate it. You know, as always, you're 4 for 4 this week with supporting the show. So thank you so much. While we're on FanDuel, let's look at the golf odds for tomorrow. Unfortunately, Morikawa had a sloppy ending. He bogeyed one of the final holes of day 3, and so he's now 12-1. Let's post the standings here. So Tom Kim continues to like not falter. And this guy's a good golfer. He's super young too. He was a rookie a couple years ago. He's only 21 years old. Like this guy has such a bright future out of himself, and it's cool to see him. Well, maybe not cool because we bet a couple other guys, but it is kind of cool for his career that he's he's progressing. He's got this good Pentagon here, which he's solid in everything, especially accuracy and approach, which is like you need that for this tournament. I had Tom Kim 15th in my model, so. I didn't expect like this to happen, and like his best finish, he showed something at the Canadian Open. I thought he was really impressive there, top 4. But outside of that, he didn't have a top 10 finish this year. So based on his talent upside, this is not a surprise. But based on his production this year, it kind of is. Although 26th at the U.S. Open is like nothing to sneeze at, but still, he has been a machine. He just like doesn't falter. He's 18 under. He's been consistently solid, like 5 to 9 on there, or like 5 to 8 on there each day or something. So his odds of winning at 21%. Scotty Scheffler is the favorite right now, 31%, even though he's 1 down. He's tied with Akshay Bhatia, who we had him at like 65-1 at the Texas Open. So cool to see him play well as well. He's another young guy, 22 years old. So you have a couple of young guys who just were able to start drinking legally. They're really showing well here. Bhatia, of course, he won the Texas Open, 18th at the Heritage, and 16th at the U.S. Open. So like maybe this U.S. Open finish is kind of predictive of this tournament, but although it's a much different sort of course, so I don't know why that would be the case. But yeah, you have Bhatia and Tom Kim, 2 guys who are super young who are in the mix. But you also have Schauffele. I was kind of kicking myself. I wanted to bet Schauffele. He was like plus 700, plus 750 at most sports books. But I saw on Wednesday night leading up to this tournament, I saw Schauffele at plus 925 at Bookmaker. And I really wanted to pull the trigger on that. But we're already betting Colin Morikawa. And I thought, hey, if Schauffele has a bad round 1, we could bet him then. But he didn't. And like he's been consistently solid in this tournament as well. He's 2 back. He could certainly win it. Sung Jae, really talented golfer. He could win it as well. And then our guy Colin Morikawa is 3 back right now. He's 7.2% to win. He could definitely take it. I mean, he's 12-1 right now. He could have a great day 4 and just win it. And I think that he and Schauffele, those are the 2 guys I would bet right now. Just blindly, just because they're 1-2 in my model. But odds wise, let's take a look. So you have Scheffler as the favorite, plus 170, Tom Kim plus 350, Xander Schauffele's 5-1. I actually think Schauffele 5-1, I think is a decent number. Like obviously the plus 925 would be much better right now, but you never know how that goes, how the tournament would go. And like, he's right there in the mix to win. And he's a better course fit for this course than Scheffler is, because you need to be a great putter at this tournament. And Scheffler, like, while his putting has definitely improved a lot this year, he's not nearly as great of a putter as Schauffele. Like, I'll show you guys. If you compare Scheffler's putting, which, like, he's 0.5 strokes gained here. It's his weakest attribute of the 5 major ones. And then if you look at Schauffele's putting, it's off the charts. He's 2.5 strokes gained. Like, he's a much better putter than Scotty Scheffler. So he could definitely win this at the end. And I mean, Schauffele's been amazing this year. 7th, 8th, win, 2nd. A little bump here, 23rd, 18th, but then 8th, 5th, 2nd, 25th, 4th, 54th, 9th, 3rd, 10th. He's been so good this year. Colin Morikawa is another guy who's he's a better putter than Scheffler, 1.3 strokes gained, and accuracy approach. Like, this is why he was second in my model. Scheffler was third, and he's been awesome this year too. Like, 14th at the U.S. Open, 2nd, 4th, 16, 23, 9th, 3rd. So ever since the Masters, Morikawa has been on fire. So they would be my 2 picks to win. We already have Morikawa, I think, at even a better number than 12-1. I think we have him at 14-1. But yeah, Schauffele's 5-1. I'm going to take a stab at him at 5-1. But yeah, I mean, Scheffler plus 170. Like, Scheffler is the best golfer in the world. Of course he can win it. Tom Kim, super young. He could definitely win it too. I just wonder if, like, Tom Kim's going to have like a meltdown like in the clutch. Like, he's battling some of these, like Scheffler, Schauffele, and Morikawa. They're the three of the top 4 guys on tour right now. Like, Rory's the other one, but he withdrew from this tournament. But those are the top 4 guys in the tournament on PGA Tour right now. And, like, staring down all 3, it's not just one. He's not going head to head with one. It's like all 3 are right there. Like, he's only 20. What is he? 22 or 21? Like, I don't know. Is he going to choke down the stretch? Like, I feel like that could definitely happen. So I think the winner of this is going to be Scheffler, Schauffele, or Morikawa. And we already have Morikawa. So Schauffele 5-1 versus plus 170 for Scheffler. I think that's a better deal. I think Schauffele is a better fit for this tournament anyway. Scheffler's better overall, but Schauffele, I think, for this tournament is better. So I'm gonna bet him 5-1. I'm gonna look elsewhere, obviously. Just try to get the best number. Maybe we can get a plus 550 or something, or even 6-1 would be awesome. So that's where we stand right now. Another guy we are betting, by the way, is Ludwig Oberg. He's 170-1, even though he had a great day today. He jumped up to he was 8 under. He jumped up to 12th. So he's 12 under right now, which is why he's 170-1. But he's 6 strokes back. But Aberg is another one of these super young guys. He's 24. He's a great putter, great approach, really good accuracy. He could win. He could have like an 8 under day and another one. And, like, while that it's probably not going to be good enough, I think the winner of this tournament is probably going to be like 23 under. But still, like, I don't think he's, like, quite out of it even. Like, I wouldn't bet it right now. Plus 170-1. But, like, I'm not, like, considering him, like, completely out of it. Like, he could have a monster day. Like, Cameron Young today had 11 under. Like, Oberg could definitely have an 11 under day, and, like, that gets into the magical number of 23 under. So yeah, that could definitely happen. Cam Young going 11 under today was so shocking because, like, this guy has been so erratic lately. Like, look at this: 67th, 50th cut, 63rd, 34th, 62nd. He had a nice run at the Masters in 9th, and then second at the Valspar. So, like, actually, it was decent to start the year, but he's been struggling lately. So, like, this, and he struggled the first 2 days of this. He was only 2 under to start. Like, can you imagine if he had a great start to this tournament and then went 11 under? Like, he would be first place by a mile right now. And he's a really talented guy. He's another young guy. He's only 27. So seeing this, like, just come out of nowhere, I was so shocking. I feel like a lot of people are going to play him in the showdown for day 4. I would not. Like, I don't think that's going to happen again. He's just been so erratic lately, not erratic is probably the wrong word. He's just been, like, pretty underwhelming lately. So I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know, just something to consider there if you're going to play the showdown. I think everyone at 14 under or better is live to win this. Even Cantlay at 13 under is maybe, but I think, Shane Lowry, Tony Finau, Justin Thomas, like they could win it. I don't think like they're not quite good enough. They're not as good as Scheffler, Schauffele, Morikawa though. So I wouldn't bet them. Sung Jae is the one guy up here we haven't spoken of yet. He's 26. He's good putter, good accuracy, good approach. Like he ranked. Where was he in my model? He was 24th, so it wasn't very high. So, but he's really talented, and the numbers for this year I think are kind of skewed because he started slowly. He took this trip to South Korea. He played the Woori Financial Group Championship. He went to South Korea after the RBC Heritage, and he won it. And ever since he came back to America, he's been hot for the most part. Yeah, he was caught a couple times at the majors, but outside of the majors, he finished 4th, 8th, and 9th. So seeing Sung Jae perform well here is not unexpected, but I don't think he's going to win this against these top 3 guys. Like if he's going against only Tom Kim and Akshay Bhatia, I could see it. But he has to compete with Schauffele, Scheffler, and Morikawa. So, like I said, I expect one of those 3 to win. I'm going to take a shot with Xander, just hoping that something good happens. But, he is right now, Xander is 14% to win. He's the number 3 favorite compared to Scheffler, 31%, and Tom Kim, 21%. You have Schauffele, 14%, Bhatia, 12%, and then Sung Jae and Morikawa are 7% each. And like I said, these 14 other guys are not out of it. Technically, they won 1.5, 1.3, and 1.3, but probably not going to get there. So, all right, so we have some questions here. Chris asking, do you think Tom would have been feeling better if he did these Saturday shows early in the morning? Well, he actually texted me early in the morning and said he was not feeling well. So I don't think it would have made any difference. But I mean, Tom's a night owl like I am. Like he's like, I sometimes get texts from him like when I'm going to bed at like 5:30 in the morning. He'll send me a text. I'm like Tom, when do you sleep? Like I'm about to go to bed. Like it feels like you're not going to bed anytime soon. So he's I don't think the time of day matters. Let's see. Chris says maybe we can do that next week. Everyone could put on their TMNT PJs, get a bowl of their favorite cereal, and then we can discuss how today's kids are getting screwed thanks to Congress. Well, that'd be fun, except for there are 2 things. One, I'm not good in the mornings at all. I get up at I go to bed at like 6 a.m. I wake up around 11. So it wouldn't be that early. And second, my wife would not be a fan of that because, she'd be wanting to know like why I'm not helping her with the kids. So that thwarts that idea, unfortunately. Although I eat cereal every day. And it's kind of like I saw this on Billions. And there's another show that went downhill, by the way. There's like one episode where the Taylor guy or girl, whatever gender he is or whatever she is, I don't know what that person is. He or she goes on a date with someone or they're hanging out with someone. I can't remember what the circumstances were. But they went to a restaurant where they just served cereal. And like they'd had this conversation. It was just kind of dumb. They were talking like, I remember eating cereal so great. It was so fun back in the day. I'm just watching this. I'm like, I eat cereal every day. What are you guys talking about? I eat my cereal choice differs. I sometimes go Cocoa Pebbles or Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Puffs. Although Cocoa Puffs, they changed their ingredients or something because it used to be more chocolatey and now it's like not chocolatey at all. Like it tastes like, it almost tastes like corn, almost tastes like corn pops that aren't like corn flavor. I don't know. It's weird. Corn Pop's another one I like. Golden Grams, the Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops. I used to eat Lucky Charms a lot, but that I don't know. It started making me sick, so I had to stop eating Lucky Charms. Although I'm kind of, I found myself like kind of craving Lucky Charms recently. Maybe I'll have a bowl or something, and then I'll remember why I don't eat it anymore. But yeah, no, I eat cereal all the time, and like I remember just watching that episode of Billions. I'm like this is stupid. What are you guys talking about? Just eat cereal. It's not that difficult. Just go to the store, buy a box of cereal and milk. Like it's not rocket science to make a bowl of cereal. So it says young shot 11 on there. What kind of Mickey Mouse course is this? Yeah, it's the easiest course on tour, which makes it weird that it's an elevated event and they have such a big payout for these guys. So that's why they're all doing it. Plus, next week is going to be a weird tournament. It's going to be at a harder course. It's going to be in Detroit. It's the Rocket Mortgage. I don't know if it's Rocket Mortgage Open or Rocket Mortgage Championship, whatever they want to call it. It's sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. There's going to be no one at this tournament because everyone's going to be flying overseas because the weekend after the Rocket Mortgage is the Scottish Open and then the British Open. So everyone who's in those two tournaments is going to be flying overseas. So like the guys who are in this, the Rocket Mortgage, are all bums. There's going to be a couple good ones. Cameron Young's actually expected to play in this because he needs the FedEx Cup points. Tom Kim's scheduled to play in it too, but I don't know if he's going to do it after this showing. There are a couple of good golfers like Minwoo Lee is in this, Will Zalatoris, but these are guys who aren't doing that well in the FedEx Cup standing, so they need the points. And so winning a tournament like this can really help them get higher in the playoffs, which start in about a month and a half from now. So yeah, so like the tournament coming up is going to be very weird because it's going to be at a harder course, but they're going to be a lot worse golfers too. Like if like for some reason like they're not in this, but if either Xander, Scotty, or Colin Morikawa, if they decided to play just randomly, like they would mop the field with the rest of the field. Like I said, there are a couple of good guys like Minwoo Lee. I'm probably going to bet him. Ricky Fowler's in it. He's sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. He won this last year. That's actually the first bet we made on the site. It last year was Ricky Fowler to win. I forget what number we got, but yeah, we bet him to win the Rocket Mortgage. So it's kind of this tournament's kind of like near and dear to my heart. But I don't think he's going to win this year because he was playing a lot better last year. This tournament this weekend he hasn't been that bad. He had a great Thursday. He's kind of tailed off. He's only 8 under. I'm probably not going to bet him unless like it's an amazing number, which I doubt because like he won last year, so people are going to want to bet him. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to what I'm doing right now because first of all, the odds aren't even out, and second, I have to run my numbers. But I can't imagine not betting Minwoo Lee next week. Yeah, I mean, he's like just knowing what this course is, the Rocket Mortgage, like you need both power and accuracy. It's like a lot of ball striking. Minwoo Lee is just such a great power hitter. Just bring him up here real fast. He doesn't have great finishes this year for some reason. Like look at his driving distance. Like it's out of this. It's like off the charts. He's super talented. He's another young guy. He's 25. And he won a championship in Europe in November. But this year, outside of the Cognizant, he finished second. Recently, 21st, 24th, 26th, 24th, 22nd. But then again, 3 of these tournaments were majors. So he's got 22nd at the Masters, 26th PGA Championship, 21st at the US Open. It's actually pretty impressive. And the Charles Schwab was, I believe, Scotty Scheffler was in that field, Morikawa. So like the top golfers were also in the Charles Schwab. So this is like a big step down in competition from Minwoo Lee. I kind of wonder what his numbers are going to be. I hope they're not better than 20-1. I have no idea what they're going to be. But as long as they're 20-1 or better, I would be shocked if I'm not on Minwoo Lee for next tournament. But again, I have to run my numbers and everything like that. Let's see. Chris says, or rather, Congress, thanks to idiot parents pressuring them to enact the CTA and create restrictions that destroy Saturday morning cartoons as we knew them. Yeah. Overbearing parents are the worst. You had MAD. They raised the drinking age from 18 to 21. The Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They can be a little crazy, but then again, I don't know, maybe not too crazy. They can't be crazy enough these days because you hear those horrible stories where you have the woke crap and like a lot, men changing in women's locker rooms, and then they some of the girls there get sexually assaulted or worse, and then parents speak up about it, and then they're deemed like terrorist threats by the FBI. So I mean, I would rather have the overbearing parents than the FBI stepping in and deeming parents to be terrorist threats because their kids are being molested in locker rooms. So it's it can get worse than the CTA or MAD, like changing laws. John says I don't trust morning people. I would say the same thing, but my wife's a morning person, so I guess I can't say that because hopefully she might listen. Probably not. I don't think she's ever watched the show, but she might listen, and she'd be like, wait, why don't you trust me? John says Cinnamon Toast Crunch is elite. I know you're not a cinnamon fan though. Yeah, I'm not. I don't like cinnamon too much, so I was never a fan of or of trying that. I actually I've never tried Cinnamon Toast Crunch just because I don't think I'd like it because I don't like cinnamon. But maybe I don't know. Maybe one of these days I will try it. But I again, like I'm not a big fan of cinnamon. Kimmy Kiddo says Jim Furyk shot at 58. Is that at this tournament? Because I mean that's awesome. Sue says, is Sir Clix-a-Lot the founder of Rocket Mortgage? He might be. Yeah, I read about him in my book. He was one of my bosses. He was the last boss I ever had because I worked at that company, Mid Atlantic Mortgage. And then I eventually did this full time. But I got fired from that job it was the Valentine's Day of 2008, and I remember. My boss, it was run by two people. It was Sir Clix-a-Lot and this guy, Adam, who's like a real dick. And like this guy, Adam, he was around like, he's probably like 10 years, no, maybe like 5 or 10 years older than me. But he was such a dick. Like he sat next to me in the office and he would like tell me exactly what to do on the phone. Like he'd walk me through it because I'd never sold mortgages before. So he would walk me through like step by step. I even wrote it all down. And then I get on the phone, I'd follow his instructions like to the T. And then I'd hang up the phone. Like, first of all, when I'm on the phone, I see him like lipping something to me, like he's like yelling, but like he obviously can't yell because I'm on the phone. I'm like, what the hell? And then I get off the phone. He's like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Like, why'd you do this? I'm like, I didn't want to get fired. So I'm like, but I would have been like, dude, you told me to do this step by step. So like he sat next to me too in the office. It was a tiny office. It was like a 2-room office. It was like me, my best friend Josh, and then Adam. We're all in the same room. And then Sir Clix-a-Lot was in the back. And like he always hear like weird noises coming from his room. And I found out it's because he kept clicking the mouse like 50 million times just because like he didn't know what he was doing. Sir Clix-a-Lot was like 60 something years old. His name, he went by Goldie. I think his last name was like Goldman or Goldberg or something. I don't remember what it was, but he went by Goldie just because that was his last name. But I called him Sir Clix-a-Lot just like he like when he was trying to like load up Internet Explorer, he'd be like click, 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 and he'd be like, whoa, I don't understand this. Why am I getting like 100 windows? And like, because you're clicking a million times. Just like click twice. That's all you need to do. Yeah, he's the founder of Rocket Mortgage, probably. Sanj says, didn't the founder of MAD get arrested for drunk driving? It was something like that. Yeah, these people are always hypocrites. Wouldn't surprise me at all if that were the case. Let's see. Chris says, I just want to bring back the wacky races. I think they had my favorite show was like they used to have like Super Mario Brothers 3, and then they had Super Mario World. Not the original Super Mario Brothers Super Show, it was on at 4:00 on weekdays, and then on Friday you had Zelda. But they had Super Mario Brothers 3, the show, and then Super Mario Brothers World, the show. And I think those were on in the mornings. And you also had Captain Nintendo or something, and then he always would have random Nintendo characters like Mega Man. I like that show. And this show only aired once. I don't know if it just went off the air or or if they were experimenting or something, and then they took it off the air right away. But they had one Saturday morning they had an episode of a show called Maniac Mansion, which was one of my favorite video games of all time. I think it's outdated now, although you still probably play it and have fun. It's about you control 3 teenagers, and you control Dave, and you have to pick 2 other guys. Like you have choices. You could play as like a rock band musician, or like a surfer dude, or just like a math nerd or something. You control this guy Dave, and you pick 2 of his friends, and you go into this mansion. because your girlfriend is kidnapped by I think his name is Dr. Fred, and so you have to get your girlfriend out of the mansion. But like all this weird stuff happens in the mansion. Like they're like these weird tentacles because Dr. Fred's a scientist. Like he has like these aliens helping him. There's like the purple tentacle and the green tentacle, and like the purple tentacle is like evil, but the green one, while like he doesn't trust you right away. Like you can earn his trust by like giving him soda or something like that, or I forget. It's like he wants to be a musician too, so you have to like submit his like his music to a rock studio or something. It's such a weird game. And then there's there's a nurse Edna, and then they have a son, and like the son has like this hamster, and like you could like steal the hamster and like put it in the microwave and like just kill it. Or you can also give him this this package is delivered, and you give him the package and like earn his trust. And it's such a weird game. Like anyone who's played it like knows how strange it is. But like there's like all these puzzles in this huge mansion. You go through it, and yeah. So like for example, like there's an arcade room in this mansion, and the code you need for the lab is in the arcade game. It's like the high score, so you have to like try to figure out how to operate the game. And so you can see the high score, and then you get the high score, and then you can get access to the lab. So that was such a cool game. And like they had one episode of this. Like I was like, oh, I love Maniac Mansion. I can't even remember if the show was good, but I was so interested in it because I used to love the game. And then I would always look at the show afterward, and I can't I could never find it. So unfortunately, like I don't know if they took it off the air. Like I said, I have no idea what. I could probably look it up, but yeah, I remember watching that one time, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch Maniac Mansion again. Let's see. Kim McNeil says course record. Forget how many years ago. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, what I don't know what Cam Young shot today. I don't know what 11 other equates to, but yeah, it had to be close, right? Chris says Rocket Mortgage is Dan Gilbert, the guy who hilariously took out an entire full page in the paper to trash LeBron when he left the Cavs for Miami. Wasn't that like the weird Comic Sans like font that he used? Yeah, I remember Dan Gilbert. I used to own stock in Rocket Mortgage. I did not make money off of it. I didn't lose money either. I think I like kind of broke even. But yeah, it was it was Dan Gilbert, but it could maybe the co-founder was Sir Clickslot. Yeah, then LeBron still went back 4 years later. Exactly. It's a very, very weird situation. My dad used to hate Dan Gilbert because like he used to bring in his son to do the draft. For some reason, I don't know, my dad hated that. Like he's like why does this kid get to do this? Like he would always like complain about that. My dad always complains about everything, but he had like special like this targeted hatred for just like the owner bringing in his son to do that. I don't know. John Sanders says gas prices were higher in 2008 than they are now. I remember paying around $4.10 a gallon back and forth from college. Yeah, I mean, gas prices have come down a little bit because like they've taken from the reserves. So I feel like if Biden's reelected, gas prices are going to skyrocket again, just because like they're going to stop using the reserves because like they needed to drop gas prices a little bit for the election, just so they could say, oh, it's not $6 a gallon, because like that's something that they could easily bring up during the debates, which I'm still sure that like Trump will do that during the debates. Like still it's like $4.10 compared to 2008 is okay, but under Trump they were like $2. So it is super expensive. I spent like $55 filling up my tank the other day, and I remember you talk about college. Like I remember coming out of college and spending like less than $20 to fill up my tank. Like I remember it would always be like around 20, and like it was under 20, I'd be like, yes, this is nice. And then but yeah, now it's $53 to fill up the tank, or 55, whatever it was. Captain N, the Game Master. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I would love when he had a Mega Man on, because I used to love Mega Man, especially Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4 in that order is my favorite. Chris says, with the absolute worst versions of Kid Icarus and Simon Belmont, the villains were all pretty hilarious. So, yeah, I mean, well, I don't remember those specifically, but I mean, obviously Kid Icarus, the game, it was fun to see Mario play that in the Super Mario Brothers movie. and then Simon Belmont in Castlevania 2. And then you had like Trevor Belmont in Castlevania 3. Those Castlevania games are awesome too. I love those. And Chris says there were a couple of old NES games that there was extra material that came from with them. You needed to solve puzzles. I think Star Tropics was one of those. So good luck if you bought the game used. I remember Star Tropics. I didn't get too far in that game. I didn't play. I never played that much. I had like one or two sittings with Star Tropics. I never played it when it was new. I played it on like an emulator or something like that. And I remember it was an okay game. I thought it was pretty decent, but I don't know. There's so many other better games like nowadays, so it's kind of difficult to play. I never got super into it, but I always saw, like, I remember seeing that in like Nintendo Power. And I remember thinking like, oh, I wanted to play that game, but I just never got the chance when it was new, at least. I guess that's about it. Those are all the comments and stuff like that. Just thanks you so much, guys, for commenting, watching. Really appreciate it. We'll be back on Tuesday with Jacob. Full cast next week. Although Thursday, I don't have a guest lineup for Thursday. Assuming Tom wants to do Saturday. Maybe I'll ask Omniferal if he wants to come on Thursday to talk about The Boys and House of the Dragon. It's been, I think, like as of Thursday, it'll probably be about a month since he's been on. So I think it'd be cool to have him on like once a month to talk about like new TV shows during the summer, stuff like that. When like the football talk is kind of slow. Although in a couple of months we'll have fantasy drafts and whatnot, but June, July, it's not much going on. So yeah, I'll ask him if he could come back on. It's probably hit or miss. I know he has like a tough work schedule. He also has 2 kids too. So What about Nuggets? I haven't got an update for Nuggets. I think I did get a text from him. Actually, no. I'm in a group chat with Butters and Nuggets. Nuggets is I can tell you this. He's playing Bobby McIntyre in round 4 showdown tomorrow. That's the only text I got from him today. Outside of that, I have not. I've not got an update from Las Vegas. So unfortunately, that probably means he didn't do too well. But hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, he did well. But he did not update on the poker. So I mean, he'll be on likely ahead of the British Open. So we can ask him then. But no update from poker, unfortunately, from Nuggets. So but like I said, he's playing Bobby McIntyre in day 4 PGA for those interested. Chris says, let's get more Nuggets on. Yeah, I'd love to get Nuggets on more often. I'll ask him. Like, I mean, we're gonna have those guys on for fantasy draft and stuff like that. We had Nuggets on for a DFS show. It was like 1 week Kenny couldn't do it during the season. I had Nuggets on. Nuggets is awesome. I'll try to get him on more often. But I think he's still in Las Vegas right now. And John says, slow. You just analyze a random Twitter top 25 QB list of all time. Yeah. Well, to be fair, John, I expected Tom to be on tonight. So I was kind of like scrambling for something to talk about. So it's a Saturday in June. Like there's nothing going on in the NFL. I think like the biggest story today that I saw, there's one story today on Roto World. It was Titans beat writer Jim Wyatt, a good reporter, Jim Wyatt. He said, at this point, I'm leaning toward thinking the Titans will keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. It's like, I don't how do I make anything out of that? I just can't really talk about the Titans. Like, who cares about the Titans quarterback situation? Obviously, Will Levis is a big question mark. They have Malik Willis and Mason Rudolph. I assume Rudolph is going to be the QB too, although, who knows? Maybe Willis will finally live up to his expectations. But probably not. That's the only story we had today in the NFL. So like I said, analyzing a random list is like the best we could do at this point. But again, to be fair, Tom told me this morning that he couldn't come on, and then like during the day I had a birthday party at my cousin's son. So I don't know what that makes him. He's not quite a nephew. Cousin once removed, I guess. it was his first birthday party. So they had a party outside in a park, and it was brutal, man. It was 95 degrees here and humid. I like the hot weather, but it was even too much for me. So like everyone was sweating their balls off, and people actually like cheered when they heard thunder, like thunder in the distance, because like they're like, yeah, people thought it was gonna thunderstorm and get cooler, and it did not. It like thunderstorm for like 10 minutes, and maybe probably even less, and like it did not get cooler at all. So it was brutal. I was just drinking like soda the entire time. It was even like too hot to eat. It was pretty brutal, but yeah, that's what I did today. And then I came home, and my wife put my daughter to sleep. I wrote up a little bit on fantasy, and then I got dinner, and then we watched House of the Dragon, and then we gave our daughter a bath, and then we put her down. My son is at my mom's, so that was kind of a reprieve. Although I really miss him now, like just not having him around during the evening. Like it's like the house is so quiet. But he's at my mom's because my wife has work tomorrow morning, and we have another birthday party. It's my niece's fourth birthday party, so I'm going to that. So I wouldn't like. My wife has work from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And like I said, I get up at 11 through my work schedule. So we needed someone to watch my son. That's why my son's at my mom's house. So anyway, so like I said, like it was kind of an eventful day for me. And Tom texted me in the morning. So like I said, I didn't have much to prepare for tonight. So we're an hour 20. Like it's a lot of time for talking about nothing, let's say, and also AB to promote CT ESPN. Yes. Yeah, I would love to have Antonio Brown on. I don't know if he'd come on, but it would be a very entertaining episode. And I think like one of the venues where like he doesn't care about getting canceled, obviously. He's posted all this crazy stuff. But like if he would come on another show, I think that they would be like worried that they get canceled or something. I have no issues with that. So I would love to have him on. I think this would be like the perfect venue for him too, because like he could say anything. Well, not that he wouldn't say anything, but I would just kind of like egg him on to like be even more controversial. So I think that'd be really fun. But I don't think he'd come on. I don't think he wants to come on any show. But I who knows? I could be wrong. Justice Florio reported Edelman said Rogers missing mandatory minicamp is not a good look. The news cycle is rapid. I saw that too. Yeah, I saw Edelman talking about that. Very disappointed. My fourth cousin there. Not that I ever spoken to him, but apparently, according to my dad, he's my fourth cousin. But yeah, I don't know. Like who cares? He's missing mandatory minicamp. They knew he was going to miss the minicamp ahead of time. We actually talked about this, I think, last week. Yeah, I mean, like if you were new to the team or something, like maybe you'd care. But like he was on this team last year, and obviously he didn't play that much, but still he was practicing with the team last year. It's not like he's a brand new player here on the Jets. So like who cares? It's not going to affect the Jets in any way. Again, they already knew that he was going to miss this. This is not like unexpected. So I don't know. I think people are just making stuff out to be bigger than it is, and I guess that it kind of speaks to how slow the news is. Like like you gotta have to make a big deal about something just because there's nothing else to talk about. The sour look girls period is over. Yeah, it is. I imagine so. It has to be, right? Like it can't last that long. Yeah, she's. Hey, I would steer clear if you take anything from the show. Steer clear from girls who are like chronically unhappy. Now, look, maybe she just had a bad day. Like who knows? Like everyone has a bad day, but yeah, like the stuff that she was complaining about is like so trivial, and like it's stuff like everyone goes through. Like one of the things she was complaining about, she's like, I can't eat, or if I'll get bloated. It's like, yeah, it's every adult. Like when you're a kid, you have this fast metabolism, you can eat anything, but when you're an adult, like you can't eat anything you want, for the most part. Although I'll say this, my cousin who was in the Air Force, he could not gain weight. Like I remember him, like we would go to IHOP We used to be close. He moved to Arizona. I haven't spoken to him in a long time. But he, like, when we were closer, he would go to IHOP. He would get all this food, and he's like, "Well, I can't gain weight. I need to gain weight. Like they're asking me to gain weight. I can't do it." Like he just couldn't gain weight, and like he would eat nonstop. He just couldn't gain weight. He had the most insane metabolism, and I mean, he was back then. He was probably like 20, 21. But yeah, no, he like it was the craziest thing. I was like, man, I wish I had your problem. I love eating food. And ever since I stopped swimming competitively, like I've gained a lot of weight. But no, he couldn't gain weight at all. It was the craziest thing. So I you can't say every adult's like that, but for the most part, most adults just can't eat whatever they want. Like what adult? It's like I can't. I wish I could eat everything I want. Like it's like it's the stupidest complaint. And she was like, "Oh, I can't talk to my friend. She lives 4 hours away." It's like you don't have another friend you could talk to, or you don't have a therapist. It feels like everyone has a therapist these days. Not me, but most people do. Yeah, I don't know. Like she was complaining about that. She's complaining about her period, which like every girl gets her period. I forget what else she was complaining about. But yeah, like her complaints were so stupid, and then she was like, "Oh, by the way, my friend died." I'm like, "Well, if this is a close friend, you would have been like, I can't talk to my friends. One moved away and one died. Like she would have mentioned that friend in that area. So you know that she wasn't that close to this friend. And I kind of speculated on the site. I'm like, this is probably someone she talked to like twice at her yoga class. Yeah, I mean, like obviously, if you had an actual friend who died, it's upsetting, obviously. But she mentioned that last. It was kind of like something she threw in. So yeah, so like I said, if you take away something from the show, just don't go after girls who are super depressed and complain about everything, because they will make you depressed and complain about everything. So just that's the number one trait, I think. Just find someone who's happy. That's my suggestion. Chris says AB sub rating getting blocked by Lane Kiffin today. What happened there? I missed that completely. I don't know. That's I've been blocked by some known people. Like Mike Florio blocked me. Adam Kinzinger blocked me. For Kinzinger, he said something like he said he was endorsing Joe Biden or something, or he was anti-Trump. Obviously, he hates Trump. And I think I replied, I'm like your disapproval of Trump makes me want to vote for Trump more, or something like I said something like your disapproval of Trump is actually great for Trump, or something, something like that. And then he blocked me. It's kind of the dumbest thing. Actually, I hope he like. I was about to say I hope he gets back into Congress, but I kind of don't, because he's just scumbag. But if he gets back into Congress, I want to like file a lawsuit saying that like he has to unblock me, because that's the law. Like Congress people can't block people, so he'd have to unblock me. But then again, like I don't want him to unblock me, because I would always see his tweets and they'd always aggravate me. Not aggravate, maybe it's the wrong word. Like they'd kind of like oh, Kinzinger is an idiot. Why am I seeing his posts? And so I'd reply to him all the time. And this guy like Neil Goldberg would reply to everything I put. It was the strangest thing. Every time I replied to Kinzinger, this guy Neil Goldberg would reply to me. And I think that's Kinzinger's alt account. And I can't say that for certain. But I suspect it is. Which I don't know. But it's a strange thing, because like this Neil Goldberg guy he's like, yeah, Kinzinger would make a great president. And that's like that kind of like set off like bad signals. I'm like, wait, what sane person would say that? Like Kinzinger is like the biggest scumbag, one of the biggest scumbags we've had in Congress. He's just a pro-war guy. Like who would say that? What sane person wants to see him as president? I think that'd be very dangerous. Like a power hungry creep like that to be president. So like Neil Goldberg saying that was like, okay, maybe this is Kinzinger's alt account, because like no joke, every time I reply to Kinzinger, like Neil Goldberg would reply to me, and he actually still did today. So I had an interaction with him today. John says, I have the same problem gaining weight. I've been underweight since high school. It's a great problem to have. Man, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous, because I love eating food, but like, man, I'm probably close to the heaviest I've ever been. I used to when I got married, I was at like 163 pounds. or 162. I was like, I couldn't lose like the last 2 pounds to get to 160. Right now I'm like 205 or 210 probably. I just don't have time to go to the gym with the 2 kids. Like if I go to the gym once a week, like that's good. I actually went to the gym twice this week, which is like an aberration. I think it's because like, well, on Friday, my son goes to my mom's house, so I usually have Friday off to go to the gym. There was something on Tuesday happened where I was able to go to the gym. I can't remember what happened, but I was able to go twice this week, which is like super rare. I used to go to the gym every day. In fact, like when ahead of my wedding, I was heavy too back then. I was like 205, and I set a goal for myself. I'm like, I want to be 160 by the time I get married. And I got close. I got to like 162 or 163. I couldn't lose the final couple pounds. But yeah, I did lose a lot of weight. I went to the gym every day and I ate half portions. So like whatever I usually eat, I eat half of it. And I cut off soda too. I stopped drinking soda. Like those 3 things made me lose like almost 50 pounds. And you know, it was a span of like 2 or 3 months too. Like I lost a lot of weight. And I told the story before. The problem was that I got tailored at 210, and then I put on my suit on my wedding day. I'm like, why is this so baggy? It fit perfectly before. And I'm like, crap, I lost 50 pounds. I should have got retailored. And so like, if you ever on Facebook, you could see pictures of my wedding. It looks like I'm a kid at a bar mitzvah just with the suit so baggy. It was embarrassing. Like luckily, you know, like no one looks at the man in the wedding. Like they always look at the bride. But I looked awful with this baggy suit that I got tailored at 210 at instead of 162 or 163. Let's see, Chris says, well, apparently he called Kiffin a pedo and said his favorite movie was The Butt Plug. I love Antonio Brown, man. He would be perfect for this show. He really would. Romney was Pierre Delecto. Yes. Yeah. Romney had that name. What was Joe Biden's name? Is Pete something? Peter something. Because that's where Pedo Pete comes from. Man, what is it? Robert Peters. That's what it is. It's Robert Peters. And his Hunter Biden in his phone had his dad for his dad's number. He had Pedo Pete. Is his name. So that's where for those who didn't know, that's where the shirt comes from. Pedo Pete. I was actually wearing it today. My wife, who's like not confrontational at all. She was like, it's like, well, don't stir up anything by wearing this because, like, you know, my cousin is the cousin who has her son. She's pretty liberal. She's a teacher, and you know, her liberal friends are going to be there from work, obviously. And so, but my response was like, dude, these people don't know who this is. They don't know Pedo Pete. Like these liberals, for the most part, they're kind of like brainwashed into thinking one way, and they just don't know what's really going on. It's like no one's going to start anything. Like in fact, a person or two might be like, it's a funny T-shirt, but no one said anything. I did get the best reactions from the money laundering shirt, which is this one. I went to the gym that day. I went to the gym. I had the money laundering shirt on, and like 2 dudes were like stopped me. They're like, "That's the coolest shirt I've ever seen." I was like, "Oh, thanks." I should have been like, go to Zazzle and look up Walter Football. I was kind of in a rush. But yeah, this money laundering shirt got quite the positive reaction. So if you're looking for a cool shirt, $20 right there. You can get that. John says the only part that sucks is it's hard to get enough daily calories without eating a lot of empty calories, which can mess with your cholesterol levels. Obviously you have to worry about cholesterol and stuff like that and whatnot. You're right, but it is nice to not have to worry about weight at all. Although I mean, I guess you might have to worry about gaining weight too. So there's that. And I remember my cousin like just being annoyed by it and just really wanting to just to gain weight, and he just couldn't do it. He was so aggravated by it. But yeah, anyway. I said that's about it like 20 minutes ago, and I kept going. So we're an hour and a half. So I think it's probably a good time to end it, like close to 1:30. So yeah, once again, guys, thanks so much for watching, listening, and commenting. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, especially to John Sanders for the $5 super chat. Like I said, we will be back on Tuesday with Jacob, Wednesday with Kenny. I assume Kenny's gonna be on, and then I'll ask Nifrol if he wants to come on Thursday, and then I assume Tom will be on Saturday. And then the week after that, we're gonna have Ben Wassley on again, in addition to the regular co-host. So looking forward to all that. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.